Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well today. As you know, we've been sending out regular updates for Calabrio on a monthly basis. Sometimes that's a PDF pack and others it's been a recording. So this month there aren't too many Calabrio updates to share with you. So Chris has very kindly recorded a session on scheduling for hybrid working, which I'm quite sure is a subject dear to a lot of your hearts. So hopefully you'll enjoy this, and if there's any questions at all or you need any help with anything, then as ever, please feel free to get in touch with either myself, Richard or Chris directly. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Speak to you all soon. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, welcome to this special edition of Calabrio hybrid working and how we can use Calabrio WFM to plan for hybrid working as we move forward. As people move back into the office, there's a number of businesses who are looking to adopt a hybrid working model, and we've had a number of customers ask how we can use Calabrio WFM to plan for a hybrid working model, so some days in the office, some days are working from home. And we wanted to use this session to explore some of the features of Calabrio that may help you plan for that hybrid way of working. And there was a number of things we considered in doing that. Things like you might only have a certain number of seats within your business, so we may need to look at using seat limits. Or if there's a limit on how many days an employee can work from home or how many days they can work in the office, do we need to put some limitations on the number of days they can do those things? The ability for you to be able to see who's working in the office and who's working remotely. So both for managers and planners to make sure that safe working is being abided by. Maybe he's looking at things like preferences. So how employees can set a preference as to which days they work from home, which days they work in the office, and also giving the employees the ability to see from their schedules when they're due in the office and when they're due to work from home. So we jump at the product and we'll take a look. So here we are in Calabrio, and one of the first things I'd like to talk about is seat limits. So seat limits can be found in the options menu under organizational hierarchy and under sites. And what seat limits allow you to do is to set a maximum number of activities that use the user's seat box when it comes to scheduling. So the system will try to schedule up to that maximum number of seats by moving schedules around to different days to try to make sure you don't break that seat limit feature during the scheduling process. So something to consider when you're doing hybrid working, do you need to define the seat limits? Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about for Calabrio WFM is how we define the shift categories. So shift categories can be used to define or tell Calabrio what type of shift an employee is going to be doing. Now, shift categories are under the scheduling menu in options. And here you can define what type of category you want to assign to a rule set. So things like working remotely, for example, could be something you can define in a shift category with the shift name of WR, and that way you can assign that to a rule set later on. You could go a little bit further with this. You could do something like late working remotely and apply that as a label. So then you could have maybe it's more detail with the shifts as you go through. But maybe it's just if you want to keep it simple, working remote, working from home, those kind of categories might be sufficient for now to get you up and running with that hybrid way of working and giving everybody the visibility they need to see when they're due to work in the office or when they're due to work from home, as well as things like shift limits and preferences. So we'll take a look at some of those things now. So when we're going to use hybrid working or applying for hybrid working, we need to assign those shift categories to our rule sets. So when you go into rule sets, under the category, you've got the ability to assign a category to a rule set so that the system knows when it schedules that person what type of schedule they're getting. Are they getting a working remote and working in the office category? And later on, we're able to put limits against those categories. So the system will only schedule so many when it applies those schedules to the employees or during the optimization phase. So you can really put a little bit more control over what type of schedules people get. And these can also be used through preferences as well for employees. For those of you who have never used preferences, and certainly in conjunction with shift categories, I just wanted to show you where you can set those. So under scheduling, under the workflow control set options, you've got down the bottom here, you've got open preferences. So this is the period employees can set preferences for, and this is the period they're able to actually set those preferences in the My Time app. But down here, you've then got these shift categories available for preferences. So by setting these two, in this case, working on site, working remote, that will then give the employees the ability to add those in the My Time app, which I'll show you later on in this video. So once we've assigned those rule sets and we've generated schedules, these are the kind of views that an employee will see within their My Time app. So you can clearly see at the top, they've got an on-site, a remote shift category. So employees get that true visibility of any published schedules going forward. They could also potentially use those shift categories through preferences. So giving an employee the ability to go into their preferences and select a category of on-site or remote. So when you go through the optimization phase, the system will look at people's preferences and apply the relevant day depending on what percentage of preferences you allow. And that really gives the employees a little bit more control over when they need to be in the office, or if they need to be at home for a particular reason. They have the ability to put a preference in for that day to at least try to give them the working from home shift that they've asked for. So there's definitely a little bit of employee empowerment by using this feature and using preferences. For managers through My Time, they'll also have really good visibility of who's working in the office and who's working from home. So once the categories are applied, they'll be able to see, okay, this day Chris is in the office, therefore I can do a one-to-one or a meeting, or he's working from home, so I need to set that up remotely. So giving the managers a good visibility of what that looks like is really useful for those as well. And then in the scheduling screen, so in the scheduling screen, high level, you'll see the shift category. So you'll be able to see who's in the office and who's working from home. But more importantly, you'll be able to see these shift categories distribution. So you'll be able to see the number of shifts working in the office and working from home by agent. We can also see that by various other different levels. So you can see it per agent, you can see it per distribution. So how those shift categories are being distributed. You can also see it per day as well. So if you do have a shift or a seating limit within your business, you can use those shift categories for any given day to see how many people you've got on a working in the office shift category, just to make sure safe working or you're not breaking any seat limits. And if we've applied those shift policies, which we look at in a second, you'll be able to see how those shift policies could be applied so that during the schedule generation, the system doesn't schedule more people than you have or you want in the office. Now, to do the shift category, the limitation piece, we need to go into the people module. So in people, we're able to, under the schedule periods tab, we can use that shift category limitation, and we can set a maximum number of people per week. In this case, is my scheduling period, the maximum number of people that we want on that particular shift category. And if we quickly flick back into the schedule screen, what we'll be able to see in that shift category distribution is that the system hasn't scheduled more than 3 people on that particular shift category on a particular day. So we can try to limit the number of shifts it can apply to an agent, and therefore help you with that seating limit piece. So I hope that's kind of been useful, and I hope it gives you some ideas as to how you could help schedule that hybrid working model, give your employees some visibility, give them some choices, but also give those managers that view and you a view as planners as to how many people you've got in the office. Thank you very much.